So it's been a wild couple of weeks in the NBA media space, and it seems like people are kind of coming around and realizing that we are at an all-time low when it comes to the media coverage that we are getting in the NBA, the product that we are getting. It is at an all-time low. And it really started around All-Star break. You know, during the All-Star game, we had Draymond Green shitting on the product constantly. We had every time Wembanyama showed up, Shaq would be talking about bull. Like it wasn't good. That's not how you want to present the All-Stars at all. A couple weeks ago, or last week actually, Charles Barkley, he goes at ESPN, he goes at Kendrick Perkins, Stephen A. Smith. They chirp back. Stephen A. Smith, his whole LeBron thing the last couple of weeks or the last couple of days, the media tour that he's been on has been really fucking weird. And then last night, Shaq on Inside the NBA. One says the Pistons suck. They're 6 games over 500. They don't suck. They're one of the best stories in the NBA. Congratulates Chauncey Billups for a great coaching job. He doesn't coach the Pistons. You know, it's just, we're getting a lot of stuff where it's like, come on, guys. So let's talk about it a little bit. So let's go to when Charles called out Kendrick Perkins. I can't stand Kendrick Perkins. I think the ESPN product is the worst product that we have on TV right now. I was watching Thunder Nuggets, I believe it was Sunday. And at the halftime report, Bob Myers, he says, can we talk about how great of a basketball game this is? The teams only have a combined 4 turnovers. Great point, Bob Myers. Kendrick Perkins, he follows that up with, well, let's talk about how back in 2010, I got traded to the Thunder. I was the one who took us over the hump. I helped get us to the finals. And now the Thunder are doing the same thing with Isaiah Hartenstein. The fuck are you talking about, Kendrick Perkins? That's a wild-ass thing to say. And then Stephen A. Smith off the top rope, he's like, Jalen Williams is garbage. Jalen Williams needs to play better. Why can't Stephen A. Smith make an intelligent point without screaming? I'll never understand that. But it's like, what are we doing, guys? Bob Myers was trying to have an intelligent conversation about how high quality of a game we were watching. And then Kendrick Perkins makes it about himself, and Stephen A. Smith starts yelling and starts shitting on guys. That's a problem. When we're watching the game, that's a problem. So the ESPN product, it's terrible. But Charles Barkley calling it out is hilarious because Inside the NBA literally has a segment where they're like, who does he play for now? These guys don't even know who they play for now. These guys don't even know most of the guys on the roster. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. It's hard to keep up with the NBA these days, especially, you know, Shaq's a billionaire. He's got businesses. He's got all sorts of shit he's involved with. Charles Barkley, he's old. He's not watching games. But to call out these guys for only talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, and I believe he said the Celtics too, to call them out for that when your network kind of does the same thing, like, when's the last time you guys had to talk about how good the Pistons are this year? Or when's the last time you talked about how the Kings have been pretty good since they fired their coach and they've been surprisingly good since they traded De'Aaron Fox? You're not talking about the small market teams. When's the last time you had a Josh Giddey conversation or anything like that? If it's outside of the top guys, you know, he was mad that they weren't talking about the Thunder and the Cavs more, which they do deserve props, but they're the top 2 teams in the league. Everybody's talking about the Thunder and the Cavs. It's just, it doesn't get the headlines the same way their Lakers stuff does. So while I agree with what Charles Barkley was saying, it coming from him is wild because you know he doesn't watch the games. He has some of the worst takes that you will hear. So do you guys remember during the summer when we thought we were going to lose Inside the NBA and everybody lost their fucking minds? The last month or so, some people are coming around to the fact that maybe we'd be better off if we lost Inside the NBA. Maybe we'd be better off if we just totally revamped NBA coverage, if we didn't just have these old heads on all the time. Because Charles and Shaq, they still talk about the game from a 90s point of view. And I get it. When it comes to, especially the older we get, you know, I'm 35 years old, and I'm starting to realize the older I get, the harder it is for me to accept something new. The harder it is for me to acknowledge something new that's going to be good. I'm stuck in my ways. These guys are twice my age. It's got to be even tougher for them. But that makes for a poor product when we're covering the NBA. It's really hard for those guys to accept the newness of what we're seeing. It's really hard for them to accept how big men play these days. Big men have been playing like this for at least 5, if not 10 years now, but they still talk about them like, oh, we need to get their low post touches. Rudy Gobert, he can't score on the block, so he sucks. You know, they're still stuck in their ways with that. So if we would have lost Inside the NBA, maybe we would have been better off from a media standpoint when it comes to the quality of the game, because a lot of talk has been done this year about NBA ratings and the quality of the product. Trust me, guys, I don't love how the NBA is played these days. I'm nostalgic as hell. Every day that the Bulls don't play on Twitter, if you go on my Twitter feed, you will see me post a nostalgic video that says Real Hoops, and then it'll just be like a one-on-one battle from some guy in the 90s. Today it was David Robinson versus Hakeem Olajuwon. I think the other day I put up a Ray Allen versus Allen Iverson battle. That's just what I do. I love that era of basketball personally. I don't love the way we play today where it's, as Kobe said, random basketball. We're just driving and kicking, looking for threes. But all that being said, we still get fantastic basketball these days. These athletes are at an all-time high. Their level of shot making is at the craziest level we've ever seen before. So we still get a really good product. The problem is they don't cover that product intelligently, at least not on TNT and not on ESPN. So that's a big problem. And then let's break down this Stephen A. Smith thing, man. I don't know how anybody could possibly be on Stephen A. Smith's side here. Should LeBron James have confronted him in person like that in the middle of a game? Fuck no. No, LeBron, you're better than that. You don't need to stoop to that level. And, you can say, well, he was just doing it, as a dad. But Bronny's in the league now, man. People are going to talk about him. That's just the way it is. But for Stephen A. Smith if you guys watch that clip, he didn't want any smoke with LeBron during that clip. And then you're going to go on this podcast tour and you're going to, he was on Gilbert Arenas' podcast yesterday, still talking about it, saying that it wasn't a man thing for LeBron to do, to run up on him like that. How is it more respectful for you to not say anything to him when he's in your face like that, but then to go and still talk about it when he's 1,000 miles away from you and you're safe? That's not a real move at all. That's some coward shit if we're being honest about it. So since it happened, Stephen A. Smith has talked about it on First Take. He's talked about it on his podcast. He's went on other people's podcasts to talk about it. It's wild. I don't understand the Stephen A. Smith thing. Not only does he not make intelligent points anymore, but he screams all of them, and all he does is stir up drama. When is the last thing that Stephen A. Smith ever said that really made you think? And Stephen A. Smith hasn't always been this way. I went on Allen Iverson deep dive like a week ago. I was just having a little bit of nostalgia. One of the things I did is I watched Stephen A. Smith's show, quite frankly, the episode with Allen Iverson. I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned. Stephen A. Smith, he was composed, he was calm, he was making intelligent points. He was a fucking journalist back then. He's not a journalist anymore. He's purely a hot take guy, a dude who just yells bullshit to get attention and hopes that it gets clicks on social media. He's not a journalist anymore. So why are we hyping this guy up? How is he worth the $200 million that ESPN just gave him? All he does is shit on the game and shit on the athletes. Remember when he called out Kevin Durant and he did it in a super weird way? Like, Kevin Durant don't want to see me in person. Dude, you are 6'2". Kevin Durant is 7 feet tall. Kevin Durant is 34 years old, I believe, maybe 35, maybe pushing 36. But either way, he's in his mid-30s. You're over 50. I've seen your boxing videos, bro. You don't want to see Kevin Durant in person. Kevin Durant will fuck you up. But because you're on a camera, you can talk tough and people will buy into that shit. I don't get it. It drives me crazy. And then lastly, let's talk about the Shaq thing from yesterday, man. Come on, Shaq. Come on. I want to like Shaq. I do. As a player, I wasn't a Shaq fan growing up. I was a Kobe guy. So seeing Shaq come in fat and out of shape every year, it drove me absolutely crazy. I was all the way on Kobe's side with that. In the media, he's funny. He has clips. He's funny. He's entertaining. He's a great guy. By all means, he does a lot of donations and a lot of charity, everything like that. But come on, Shaq. How are you going to go on TV and say that the Pistons suck when they're one of the best stories in the NBA this year? How are you going to congratulate Chauncey Billups for being their coach? He played for them. He beat you in the finals with them, but he's never been their coach. He's never even been involved in the organization in any capacity as far as I'm aware. He's been the Blazers coach for 3 or 4 years now. How do you not know that? I don't understand how you get paid to cover the game and you just flat out don't know that. There's casual fans. There's guys. I have a friend. He writes for Sports Rant on the football side. He barely pays attention to basketball. I guarantee you, if I asked him who Chauncey Billups is the coach of, he's still gonna know it's the Portland Trailblazers. So, how do you not know that? How are you so comfortable going on TV and talking all that shit when you don't know what the hell you're talking about? I don't get it. So, I guess the point of my now 10-minute rant here is we are in an absolute dog shit era of NBA media coverage. It's never been this bad. Hopefully it gets better. I got some hope because NBC hired Carmelo Anthony to be one of their studio guys when they get the rights next year. Carmelo has one of the few player pods I enjoy. I think he's going to be fantastic on it. That's the only way we can turn this around. We got to get the Draymond Greens, the Charles Barkleys, the Shaquille O'Neals. We got to get them off TV. We got to get guys like Carmelo Anthony, like Allen Iverson, guys who, when they get the chance, Kevin Garnett's another one. They give big ups to this current generation. They don't shit on them. That's the only way we can fix it, is to get the new guard in here and to change how we cover the game. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm just frustrated.